It's early morning, and all over the country, food service partners are making their way to set up their counters. Here in Bath, where an exciting refurbishment has been taking place, specialist Richard is helping us to make a fish setup training film to pass on his skills and knowledge to new partners or those who have just joined the section. The fish counters are temperature and moisture regulated to keep the fish at its best throughout the day. So using the switch located on the bottom right-hand side, turn the key from fan to PD to switch on the refrigeration. In preparation for the day, the D10 bottle must be made up. Simply fill with cold water and then add 1 measure of D10. The counter should be lined with double deli wrap, the removal plates put in place, and the leading edge cleaned. And now we're ready for the ice. Slide out and lock the holding tray, and then use the ice paddle to drop the ice into the hopper. Once you have the ice you need, slide the holding tray back into position. This drainage valve must be closed by pushing in before removing the ice hopper from under the machine to prevent excess water dripping out and flooding the counter area. Start loading the ice onto the counter, making sure that the live fish area on the far left has a lower level, so that the live fish, when displayed, sit below the red fill line. Now you can position the 2 transparent smoked fish boards on top of the ice on the far left and right of your counter. You will also need to put in place the breaded fish tray and the bowls you will need. At this point, it's a good time to clean the counter glass using a damp blue cloth and paper roll, but not D10. The first element to lay out is the old stock of wet fish, which has been stored in the night storage fridge. Even if you don't set up, you can see that a thorough and organised shutdown makes the setup process quicker and easier, so we all have our part to play. Whilst innovative, attractive displays are the mainstay of a successful fish counter, in an hour from now, when the shop opens, it is vital that all the fish stock on display meets the legal ticket and display requirements. So rather than rush to put out all the fish, take your time to lay out the counter in sections, completing each one before moving on. Better a smaller legal display you can continue to add to once the shop is open, than the very real risk of a fine or prosecution from trading standards. Richard is also choosing which fresh boxes to open and putting the information he needs on the back of the counter, ready to prepare the tickets. With the stock on the counter and the tickets beside them, it's now time to go upstairs to the chiller for the next phase of the setup. With proper stock rotation and reduced wastage a priority for all partners, the cage breakdown is probably one of the most important elements of the setup. The pre-packed fish must be separated out so that the fresh replan team can get their stock onto the shelves for opening. Now, Richard can select the stock he needs to finish his own setup. Dates must be thoroughly checked. Anything with today's or tomorrow's date needs to be in the counter fridges, as well as fresh stock of items he's run out of. All breaded, smoked and live fish, if possible, also need to go down to the counter. It's at this point that Richard can see what additional stock he needs, taking into account lines on special promotion, the day of the week, time of the year, or any surpluses with a view to upselling or pre-reductions, and begin to think about his fish to go list. Not paying attention to dates and stock management at this stage can lead to expensive wastage. But whilst working at speed, Richard knows that the next partner to arrive will also be checking the dates and filling out a daily chiller stock list, an idea developed here in Bath, so that everyone who works on the counter today can tell customers with confidence what stock is in the chiller without having to leave fellow partners to cover the counters whilst they go and check. Once back on the floor, Richard continues to create his wet fish display, making sure that he date checks all the tickets before fitting them to the stands and positioning them. With 10 minutes to go before opening, the emphasis now shifts to laying out the live, breaded and smoked fish. By opening time, All the fish displayed must be legal, but also all rubbish should be off the floor. So whilst his meat counter partner covers for any early customers, Richard is now taking all the counter rubbish to be correctly disposed of in the loading bay. Delaying this has implications far beyond the setup shift and can often cause your fellow partners to be left struggling to cover the counters while someone leaves to clear the backlog at a much busier time. On the way back from the loading bay, Richard pops into the freezer to pick up any frozen stock he needs for the counter. After returning from the freezer, he now completes his cooked fish display. At this point, Richard is now compiling his fish to go list, which along with the daily chiller stock list will provide a vital tool for all the partners working throughout the day, giving them plenty of notice of what needs to be sold and the ability to confidently inform customers of what we have in stock without having to leave the counter to check. Once the fish to go list is complete, Richard will be washing the storage trays, cleaning down the sides and clearing the tops of clutter, ready to begin another busy day in just one of many Waitrose fish counters across the partnership. So, a summary of the things to remember for a successful setup. Turn on the counter. Turn off the drainage valve. Lay out the ice to the correct levels. Start your display setup with old stock. Cage breakdown and date check in the chiller. Bring stock with today's and tomorrow's date to the counter with any fresh stock needed. Be legal with tickets and remove rubbish before the store opens. Lay out your display in sections with tickets to conform to legal requirements. Complete your fish to go list and clean the counter and work surfaces ready for the day.